Lee Priest, the blonde myth, is here with us today, everyone, and I'm so excited for today. One of the interviews I've been looking forward so much to in life. Today, thank you, Lee, for being here.
Well, thank you.
Lee Priest is one of the top pro bodybuilders. I'm sure Ronnie Coleman agrees with it. I'm sure the top pros agree. I'm sure you guys are all friends. And Lee's been through some controversy in life, which is very, very interesting. We're going to dig into this a little bit. But we're really going to also talk about what Lee, at 52 years old, what Lee did. He's still alive and he's healthy.
I'm Dr. Thomas O'Connor, a lifelong powerlifter, board-certified physician, and published academic author. I've taken care of thousands of men on testosterone and steroids, and now I use my media appearances and this YouTube channel to provide education and harm reduction. Subscribe now so I can help you stay strong and healthy.
You got the 21-inch arms there. Oh.
How tall are you, Lee? How much do you weigh?
Well, I always say 5'5.5", and the people go, why you put a half on there? Because I said, when I go to the doctor and I stand against the wall, the doctor says I'm 5'5.5". And right now I'm sitting around 98 kilos, so I'm not sure what that is in pounds. So probably like 215 is it pounds or 218 pounds? Somewhere around there.
Right.
I find that sort of comfortable for me. If I, like last couple of weeks, depending what I eat, you know, if I eat a bit bad, I get over 100 or so. But I've been doing a lot of boxing for cardio lately. But of course, I've had a pinched nerve. I've had to stop the last few weeks. But, you know, bodybuilders, I do treadmill, I do stepper. I'm like, I'm cardio fit. When I started boxing, I'm like, I'm shit. So that's a whole other kettle of fish. So I've been doing like the boxing, like sparring and just hitting pads for cardio. I've been enjoying that. So, yeah, but I just try and do stuff to keep active, whether it's mowing the yard, vacuuming the house.
And we know, and I know you love the animals, which just so many of your fans, I'm sure, just love you so much more because of your love for animals.
Yeah, like I said, people like, I know Sean Ray made fun of it, saying I was hurting for money, but all my body, I keep my racing trophies or things like these behind me. That's like George Bush made me honorary Texan, and I got different plaques from different things and from law enforcement for supporting them. But all my bodybuilding trophies, because I was always moving and traveling, they're in boxes for like 20 years getting broken. So I put them on Instagram and sold them off as auctions, and now they're in gyms and places, and people send me photos saying, here's your trophy in our gym. That's inspiring other people. So I figured, to me, that's a better place for my trophy to be, to inspire people, than sitting in a box in storage at home. And all the money I got from selling my trophies, I gave to all animal shelters and stuff like that.
So, Lee, we know you started bodybuilding at around the age of 13 years old. Is that correct?
Yes, I won my first 3 bodybuilding shows when I was 13 years old.
And your mother was a huge part of your life.
Yeah. In the beginning, she was when I said I want to do bodybuilding now, she's like, oh, gross, muscles and veins. And my grandmother was the same. But then once I started doing, I won my first contest. My mum and my grandmother became my biggest fans. And like I said, I've been competing from 13. When I was 17, that's when my mother, of course, she'd been watching me over the years, come to me one day. She's like, if I ever get in shape, would you do the couples with me? And me being 17, I'm like, I'm not going on stage with my mum, because my mum was a little overweight. I said, you get in shape and I'll do it, thinking she'd never get in shape. Well, 8 months later, she gets ripped to the bone, and her and I compete. We're the first mother and son in the world to compete together and win a national title together in the world. So,
did that continue?
She continued for about another 2 or so years and then gave up. Her main goal was just to do the couples with me, but then she competed in some other shows and won them. But then after that, she gave it away. And then my daughter, she started competing in the different things, and she got her pro card with the WFF here in Australia, and she did it for a couple of years. But her, like my mother, they were the smart ones. They got out after a couple of years. I kept going.
Well, let's talk about this. Let's go into this amazing career. You're like a black sheep, you know, and that's just amazing for so many of us that have been in the underground with you for so many years. When did you first? You're obviously one of the guys that we say you could take as much steroids as you want. You're never going to look like Lee Priest, Ronnie Coleman, you know, all these guys. And what age did you actually first start the real steroids?
19, because from the age of 13 to 19, I pretty much won everything. From 14, I was 15, I was competing in men's open classes and beating open men. At 17, when I was still natural, I won my first overall Mr. Australia, but they said I was too young to turn pro. So at 18, I won it again, still said I was too young. 19, I won the Australia again, still said I was too young. And that's when Lou Zuick was bringing me to America to do the Niagara Falls Amateur. And when I got over there, I figured, well, if I'm going over there now, the Americans are a lot bigger, maybe, because I was still a lightweight, which was like under 72 kilos. So that's only like, what, 150, 60 pounds or something. Because I had like the symmetry and the muscle in the right places, I looked at the illusion on stage. I looked a lot bigger. But so I figured, well, I better just get on something. So I took Deca, 200 milligrams of Deca for 8 weeks and put on 20 pounds of muscle like that. So if you look online.
Why
yeah,
Deca?
Like, I just thought it was just an easy, basic one. My friend had some. I said, let me just try Deca. I've no rhyme or reason, because when it comes to drugs, I've never read an anabolic steroid handbook. I've never got into it. Because to me, when I was young, and even now, it was all about the training, the nutrition, the sleeping. To me, the drugs were the last thing. Sadly now, kids are putting the cart before the horse, and they're getting on drugs before they even start training. So I'm always like, you need to have some foundation work. And it's like when young kids come up and they go, I want to be a pro. How can I be pro? I said, listen, if you go to the gym and you do everything right, you eat right, you train right, you get your rest in, if you have the genetics to be a bodybuilder, you'll know it. Because people who just do all that natural stuff, you'll see them at the gym. They'll be training, and month by month, you're like, God, look at that guy growing. People will accuse them of being on gear just because they have good genetics. And I was like, then I just kept growing and growing. But then I figure, well, if I'm going to America to play with the big guys, I better go on. And it's easy because if you look at, there's photos online of where I'm in the Australian bush at 19. I look like a nice Bob Parisi type physique. But then you look at the end of the year when I'm 19 with the 20 extra pounds, it's more like a miniature Dorian Yates. You can see the muscle where it's gone boom. So the 200 milligrams of Deca for 8 weeks was my first cycle.
Quick pause here for a second. I want to point out that I've opened another YouTube channel called Testosteronology. Over there, we're going to have a lot of content regarding just testosteronology, the Testosteronology app, the testosteronologists that I'm training all over the world for you guys, both for men and women that are on androgens and want to stay strong and healthy. Thank you so much.
So do you have everyone has a coach now? Have you ever had a coach?
Never had a coach. I just learned from trial and error. And that's why I think these coaches get too much praise, because when you look at the likes of Ronnie Coleman, Phil Heath, like all these top guys who have coaches, I've always said my grandmother could put you on a fucking diet and a drug cycle and you would grow, because they're like the top 1% in genetics. They could do anything and still grow and be good. So to me, I've always said, you don't really, look, if you're just the average person and you don't know anything about training and stuff, sure. But if you're an elite athlete and you're turned pro, you know what foods your body can handle. You know what drugs by now you can take. You know how to train. All you really need is a good training partner and support team just to keep your mind, because I've always said, physically doing the training's easy. When you get ready for shows, it's those last few weeks where mentally your head starts playing games. Should I do this? Should I do that? I don't look big enough. Maybe if I cut this out and add this in, then that's when you mess up. So if you just got a good support team around you, that's all you really need. I think these gurus get too much praise riding on the coattails of the professionals who are doing all the hard work. Yes, some might help them, but like I said, it'd be more of a mental thing, just like I said, to keep you focused is what you need more than actually the training and drug side of things. Because if I didn't know you and you said, Lee, I want you to get me ready for a show, I'm going to write you up a diet. I assume you know how to train. And if I was to give you a drug cycle, I'm only going to throw a few drugs together and then say, go away, follow this, let me know how you feel in a couple of weeks. Okay, you don't feel that good. Okay, take this out. I'm just experimenting with you till I get it right. I don't know your body better than you. And that's a lot of these gurus do now. I don't get why so many athletes just give over everything to their coach and rely on their coach when you could do it yourself. It's so basic. Training, dieting, and even the drugs, really, it's so basic. But yet people try and make it scientific. They try and overcomplicate the training and everything now. It's just like you're overthinking it when it's such a basic thing, really.
So we let's go into something so interesting. I know a lot of people want to hear, and I know you've talked about before. 2006 was it? You
Yeah.
had the 2 year the ban from the IFBB.
Yeah.
Okay, did that save your life? You never really want to come back. You were so fucking pissed off at that shit. I
Yeah,
know.
well, I took the ban because I competed with the other organisation that Wayne started, and then, I did get my pro card back, and that year too, I was going to move back home and live with my grandfather, but sadly, due to malpractice in a hospital, he passed away, and that's sort of without him being there, because he was always there when I was younger. I'd be getting ready for shows, and he would always come do cardio with me, and even on raining days in wintertime, I'd wake up at 4 a.m. It'd be pouring rain. I'm like, I get to sleep in. All of a sudden, he's knocking on my bedroom window, and I look out. I'm like, you stupid old bastard. It's fucking pouring rain. He's like, let's go. You've got a contest to get ready for. I'm like, oh, fucking hell. I'm going out in the rain and to ride a bike. So he was always there. So once he passed away, I tried to get ready for a couple of shows, but just mentally, I just didn't have it in me. I'd start to get ready. If you're not 100% focused, you can't do it. And it wasn't until 2013, I had a 7-year layoff, that they asked me to do the NABBA Universe. So at 42, I came out of retirement and went and won the overall NABBA Universe, and that was my last show. I was going to compete again in 2015, but got T-boned by a car and crushed nerves in my neck, which gave me a bit of muscle atrophy in my tricep and chest, and so that's pretty much what ended my competing career. But I think too, even not competing, like I was like probably from my early 20s to mid 20s, 26, I only ever did like cycles, get ready for shows. So like 12 to 16 weeks I'd be on, and then I'd come off, maybe do one off season thing. But generally from 28 on in the off season, I never even took any steroids in the off season. You'd see me, I'd be up to 280 pounds. I just piled the food in because I loved eating and stuff like that. So that's why I found when I got ready for shows, because I still eat clean, but I might have chicken and rice. But in between that, I might have McDonald's, and then I'd have steak and vegetables. And in between
We know
that,
you like to eat. We know you like to eat. We know you like eating.
So I'd always have good and bad food. But when it came time to diet, and because I just eat good and bad, no drugs, just trained hard, when it came time to diet, I'd go straight to clean food, add a little bit of gear in, and my body would just respond like that because I'd been off it for like 3 to 4 months. There was no bridging or cruising or this sort of bullshit. When you're off, you're off. You're not taking anything. That's why.
That's the difference. So you didn't blast and cruise, Blee?
Never. I'd be off it. I've never, my whole life, I've never done one PCT cycle. Once I was finished my course, I just stopped everything. People go, Lee, you should take, HCG. I'm like, what's that? They're like, it's an injection. I said, fuck injections. I'm not taking any more tablets. I'm not taking Clomid. I'm off. So, it's just like I said, I've already got one daughter. I'm not worried about having any more kids. So I don't care if my nuts turn back on again. I'm just not doing it.
What is the best steroid, old school? Let's go old school, Lee.
Yeah.
Let's open it up. Because me and you were old school. What is the old school best steroid? Let's talk not just you, but globally. Back in the 70s with Arnold and all the guys, I don't know them. What's the best steroid cycle?
Like when I think Tom Platts was similar to me when I used to train with Tom for over a year or so. He was pretty much like me. I have a deca and dianabol test and a bit of dianabol. And even then it was only 20 to 30 milligrams tops of dianabol a day. And the deca was 2 to maybe 300 milligrams. And if you talk to most pros, and like, yeah, sure, some do go above and beyond, but Paul Dillette in 98, he lived with me when he left his wife for 8 months. And look at the size of Paul. I heard all the rumors, but Paul was like me. Would sometimes get Winstrol in a syringe, would put it on the coffee table, and 3 days later it's still sitting there. He's like, have you had your shot? I'm like, no. Have you had yours? He's like, no. I'm like, I guess I better take it. But these people out there believe that we're pinning ourselves every day. To me, I like the ones. That's why I like deca or a test. I was never ones to do every day. To me, it's like one shot a week. I'm happy. Winstrol used to be stanozide. I'd be like, you got to have it every other day. And I was doing that for a while. But then one day I was reading the bottle and I'm like, because it was veterinarian, it says a horse needs 2 mil per 100 kilos every 2 weeks. I'm like, well, if a fucking horse needs 2 mil per 100 kilos every 2 weeks, why am I taking a mil every second day? I'm not as big as a horse. So I started spacing my Winstrol out every 4th day, every 5th day, and I still look just as good as before. So these people that go injections every day, doing side injections, they're like, to me, it's like, oh, inject it in your bicep, your arm get bigger. I said, no, your bicep might get inflamed. I said, if side injections made the muscle grow, we all should have Kim Kardashian asses, because how many bodybuilders shoot their glutes? Our asses should be like Kardashian, because that's a muscle, your glute. And if you're doing side injections, our bums should be fucking big.
How about this? What about this, Lee? What about synthol and the site injection?
Never touched it, not once. The only other thing I touched once was Esiclin. Remember Esiclin?
Yes, I've heard. I don't know what is that.
It used to like inflame the muscle and make it look bigger and stuff. So I tried it once in my bicep, which I didn't really need it there, but I thought I'd just see how it feels. And it was that painful, like a bee sting for days. It's like I couldn't even train my bicep properly. So I'm like, what the fuck good is this drug if I can't even train properly now? So it's like, yeah, I've never done. To me, I've always said, if you're going to inject synthol or oils like that to be a bodybuilder, then you shouldn't be in the bodybuilding, because if you can't grow the muscle from training and eating and using a little bit of anabolics if you have to, then you shouldn't be in it. Because you see guys now putting all these pump and pose oils. You see those ones in some of those Southern American countries where their arms are blue and black, and it's just look like, man, you're going to get your limbs cut off where you're going to die.
Do you think? Right, the synthol kid. I mean, it's just beyond body of obsessive compulsive and bigorexia. It's extreme. It's not even. I don't even think it's bigorexia. It's something beyond that. It's very sad. What about the top pros? No names mentioned. Using little site injection just to clean things up.
I think Flex came out and said that he used a bit. I don't know. NASA, he came out saying they used a bit, maybe like in their calves or their rear delts and stuff like that, just to highlight those little areas. So I can understand someone doing it for that, but to me it's still, I don't know, you're putting a substance in, substance like an oil-based or something, and like I said, it just keeps building up. It's got to go somewhere eventually. So I never once thought about it. And like, I only ever used growth hormone twice my whole career, 94 and 96. 94 I used 2 IU a day, 96 I used 4 IU. Noticed nothing. Probably because
did it really work?
I didn't notice anything compared to like my other previous cycles were Winstrol, Test, and Anadrol or something. But when I used the growth, I'm like, for the money I paid, now that I'm 52, I'm thinking maybe growth would work now for regenerative purposes and stuff like that. But back then, and I never touched insulin, never once did insulin in my whole career.
What did you think about Rich Piana?
Yeah, well, like I said, he had a good following and stuff, but to me, like, he's a good personality and things like that. But you have to, like I said, how much of his body was real muscle and how much was just enhanced from oils or whatever he was using at the time. Yeah, he did a good job putting it in the right places to look good compared to some other people. But to me, it's like, I just don't know. Like I said, if you can't build muscle the proper way, I just don't see. Be like me now, like a bit of my chest is like Steiner, where because of the muscle atrophy, I got like a bit of a gap here. I think I could go get stuff injected in there. I spoke to one person about, they said they could inject fat there, but then they're like, Lee, but if you diet down, the fat's just going to go away. So if you get an implant, then I'm like, do I really want to go through the hassle of an operation where they've got to put an implant under there and stuff like that? So, things like that I think about. Look, if you've got a cosmetic reason and you need something like that, I understand. But just to compete or be a bodybuilder or because you want big arms or big delts, I think you're stupid to be putting that stuff in your body.
Right. How about this, Lee? What do you think today would be a safe regimen of steroids? Understanding that if you start steroids and you're young, the number one risk is forget the steroids and the health consequences. You're going to get shut down and you're going to have to potentially, most likely, live on testosterone the rest of your life, right? Anabolic steroid-induced hypogonadism. Lee is aware of that, and with or without PCT. So what do you think is the safest regimen of steroids? Go back.
Well, to me, I've always said, look, I've always used, not abused. And like I said, the most I ever took with Cypionate was 400. Yes, I've talked about before when I went to 800 because someone advised Lee, take more, you might get bigger. And I felt like shit, so I went back to 400. So to me, when I was taking 400, I thought that was safe. But to me, I even think to myself, is 400 safe? Maybe that's too much for my body. Who knows? But compared to what I heard other people, I do seminars in the UK. I'm going there in January. But when I was last over there, I'd do seminars, and I'd ask because they'd always ask me what I'm taking, and I'd tell them the truth. 400, cypionate. Right now, I've been off everything for 7 weeks. Maybe in another week, I might go back on to SUS 250. And with SUS 250, I take 1 mil every 8 or 9 days, or when I remember to take it. That's all I've been taking it, and I feel great just taking that. So, but when I tell young kids this, they look at me like he's lying. And then I say, "What are you taking?" And it ranged, no joke, from these young kids from anywhere from 2 grams to 5 grams of test a week. I'm like, where the fuck are you getting that from? Or such and such online says it. So in their mind, I can see they're thinking, Lee says he only takes 400. I'm taking 2,000. I don't look like him, so he's got to be taking more than me. I'm like, it doesn't work that way, people. It doesn't work that way. I said, if you're taking 2,000 milligrams a week, I said, the only one who's going to benefit is the guy you're buying it off, because he's going to become rich from you wasting your money.
Lee, where do they
and I always
put
tell
2
the young
grams?
kids, and I always tell the young kids, I said, listen, if you're taking 2,000 and all this shit, I said, just do me a favor, just once. Come off everything. Come off for a couple of months. Go back on, but only use a small amount and see how you go. I said, what have you got to lose? I said, if it works, it works. Then it works. You don't need 2,000. If 500 works, stay at 500. And that's like with me, when I've always used the small amounts, I always got results. So I never had that mentality where I got to take more. I got to take more. I've never had that mentality when I was off, because I got friends. I can't train hard because I'm not on anything. I'm like, that's just an excuse. I said, if you think that way mentally, you're going to go nowhere. Some of my best lifts was when I was off the gear and I was just bulked up. So, but people get that mentality. I can't train if I'm not on the gear. I can't train hard. I'm like, yous are just crazy.
Where do they put 2 grams? Lee, where do you put?
That's what I said to him. I said, where would you put it? I'm like,
No,
where are you shooting it?
Lee, Tren, give us thoughts on Tren. Tren, have you ever used any? Oh, okay.
I used Tren 4 times my whole career. The last time was when I was married to Cafe Le Francois, the bodybuilder. I thought, I said, I'm going to the bathroom, I'm going to have a shot of it. I thought I was going to die because, you get the Tren cough, which you can't stop coughing. But this time, I don't know what was in it. As soon as I put it in, I got the cough, but then my chest got that tight. I mean, as if someone just punched me in the sternum. I mean, I was gasping for air. I'm like this. I got the needle hanging out my shoulder. And like the pain through here was that great. I just ripped it out. I thought, fuck that. And like I said, and I never did it since then. I figured any drug that makes me feel that bad, I'm not going to do. That's why I get amazed now when I read some boards and young kids are like, yeah, I'm on Tren. I'm getting no sleep. I'm restless. I'm irritable. I'm this. I'm thinking, if a drug's making you feel that bad, why the hell are you taking it? Don't take it. There's other drugs out there you can take, but I don't know why Tren became this. That's all you see young kids talking about, Tren. And I'm thinking, like I said, 4 times my whole career, and the last time I thought I was going to meet my maker, and I never used it since. I just never touched it.
Was that acetate back in the day, the Finiplex, or
I wouldn't even know. I see, like I said, when it came to, I just asked my mate I got off, I need a bottle of Tren, and he'll just get it to me. Like I said, I never read the steroid handbook. I never poured the Let Live with me, and I'd hang out with other pros. I never once discussed cycles. It's like people think you pros must talk about what you're taking. I'm like, no, because to me, what Ronnie's taken has got nothing to do with, not going to work for me. So we're all different. So to me, drugs were never, some people love to talk about drugs and this. To me, it was just like, I couldn't care less. You take what you want to take and I'll take what I take. I know what I take works. So I remember I was helping a friend get ready for a show once. He wanted me to help him get ready for the Worlds. So I wrote him up a bit of a diet and a training thing because I knew he know how to train. I said, this is the diet I similarly used. And then he goes, what about the supplements? I said, look, I'm no drug expert. I said, I can show you what I've taken, get ready for shows. And I sent it to him. Within 5 minutes, he emails me back. He goes, are you fucking with me? I said, why? He goes, that's not enough. You don't have growth hormone. You don't have this. I said, listen, if you're going to trust me with your diet and training, just trust me with this. So he followed it, very minimal usage. He went and he won the world championship. He goes, Lee, that's the best I've ever looked and the best I've ever felt. And he was on probably a quarter of what he was used to taking. So That's why I try and tell these kids out there, if you're going to use it, these stupid amounts that you're listening to people taking, look, yes, some pros do take large amounts and have, but the majority of them don't. They've just got great receptors. They respond well.
Right.
But like I said, just listening to some dickhead on the internet, because he goes, if you guys want to grow, I read some of these cycles and I'm thinking, my God, I've never done anything like that. And I know, like, Honey Rambod got mad at me because he wanted to help me once, and he saw my training and died. He goes, that's good. He goes, well, here's a cycle. And he had like 6 to 8 different drugs. And I was living with Mike Yablon from New York at the time. He was staying with me. And I showed him the list. I said, I'm not fucking taking 8 different fucking drugs. I was like, fuck that. So to me, when I got ready for a show, I took 3 at the most and maybe clenbuterol. But I always found when I first started, like I said, at 19 with Deca, I used Deca. I think then later on I did a cycle of Dianabol because I'd always just take one drug at a time just to see how my body reacted to that drug and how it felt, because you got young kids now who start their first cycle on 4 or 5 drugs and they're like, oh, this is working, that's working. I'm like, how do you know? I said, you're taking 5 drugs. Maybe only 2 of them are benefiting you. The other 3 aren't doing shit because you just put them all in at once. You're better off taking one at a time to see how your body reacts to it. That way, when you do want to combine some drugs, at least you're combining ones that you know work with your body.
And this is old school, and why bodybuilders from the old days have stuck around longer than the more postmodern guys, around the turn of the century. What about diuretics?
Well, diuretics, I was always very mild. I remember on the European tour, I had a Lasix once. Sean Davies, God rest his soul, because Paul Dillette and I, Vince Taylor, after the 4th show, we found a Chinese shop and they were like, oh, fuck this diet. So we started to put water on. Sean's like, Lee, I got a 10 milligram Lasix you can have. So I took it. Oh, my God, I'm laying in the hotel room. I'm getting spasms. I'm getting cramps. I'm like, fuck. I called Sean's room. I said, Sean, what did you give me? He goes, 10 milligram. Oh, no, let me check it. Oh, that was a 30 milligram Lasix. I'm like, well, I said, I'm sleeping in your room tonight because if I die, it's on you. And I was going through the mini bar. I was eating salted peanuts. I was just throwing everything in. But normally I'd take like a Diazide or Aldactone, something very mild, but I'd never take a whole one because generally I'd always be pretty close to contest shape 2 weeks out. That's when I do all my photo shoots. So I found just all the posing and that got me in better shape. And if the show was Saturday, maybe Wednesday night I'll take half a diuretic. If I look good Thursday, I wouldn't take anything. Then maybe the Thursday night only a quarter, because when you're that lean, I always cautioned on just a little bit because, some guys would take a whole one Wednesday, then they'll take 2 on Thursday. And if you're pulling all that water out, you're going to be flat. You can't get it back in time and you just screw up all your electrolytes. And normally that's where you're going to have problems. So everything I did, I always done sparingly along my whole career. I never went full on crazy.
What are you doing now, Lee? Tell us, let's wrap up with this. This is an amazing interview and I can't thank you enough. We got to do more of this together.
Yeah.
What are your closing words just for today? We'll have more for the guys out there, the young guys. What are you what are you doing today? I know you love animals and you're working on things. Yeah. What would you say to the young guys that are going to do some steroids? They may not have how many guys have the genetics, Lee?
Well, like I said, you've been to Golds. Everyone's been to a gym. If steroids made you a champion, half the gym should look like the Olympia lineup. It's like to me, it's like roid rage. If roid rage was a real thing, nearly every gym in America would be like a UFC fight every night because people would just be going crazy. To me, if you're an arsehole, you're an arsehole. It's like drinking. People can drink and become angry drunks or happy drunks. If you're an arsehole to begin with and you take steroids, you're just a bigger arsehole. It just sort of brings that out. But young kids now, I just say, listen, train and just go as far as you can. Look, if you want to make a career out of competing, still try and get at least 5 years foundation work before you even touch a drug. Yes, I know it's tempting because your mates are on it. You want to get on it. You want to get big overnight. But you know what? Building muscle to become a top bodybuilder, if that's what you want to do, doesn't happen overnight. It's not a sprint. It takes time. So do it properly and try, like I said, what's a safe dose? I don't know. 400 to me seems safer than a gram, what I think so. But is that safe? Maybe 300 could be safer. But I've always said, if you're going to start a cycle, use it. Don't abuse it. And like I said, if you got like something like testosterone and it's, 200 milligrams per mil, just take 1 mil. Start on the very low side and see how you go. If you get great results from that, then have your break and then do it again. You probably won't need to go anymore. That's what I did. I never went any higher because I was still getting the results from the small amounts. That's why I didn't go, oh, wait a minute, my results have stopped. I'm not getting in shape. I got to bump the dosage up.
Do you think, I know you didn't do PCT, but do you believe in the utility of any PCT at all for
I think
young?
so, you should, like for younger kids too, because especially young kids, to me, I get a lot of them 18, 19, I want to go on test and take. I'm thinking, mate, at your age, your test level's at its peak. Just train hard. I said, if you take tests right now and the amounts you're talking about, you're going to shut your natural system down. And then, then it's all over Red Rover. You might have to be on it for like, oh, here comes one of my cats.
Ah,
Hey, say hello. He likes to always be on your podcast. That's Kylo.
who's this?
He's
Who's
great.
this? Who is this?
That's Kylo.
Eckler. Oh, he's adorable.
Yeah, he's a cuddler. Always
Oh
got to be with me. This one. I got the office door open. If I shut the office door, he throws himself at it. And I'm thinking, people must think I'm torturing my cat because he's like, row, bang, row, bang. It's like,
Holy.
I love it. I got like 7 cats and 2 dogs, and it's like my cats are like, I can't get mad at them because I got the sort of cats that they always want to be with you and on you, and it's like sometimes I like just go away, but I'm thinking they're showing me affection, so I can't push them away. So I just let them climb all over me, get covered in cat hair. But it's like,
Lee,
they're all like being saved from the streets or from the animal shelters. If I go to a pet shop, my wife's like, "Don't you come back with another rescue cat."
Oh boy.
I can't help
So
myself.
any closing, oh my God, absolutely adorable.
Yeah.
So it's real truth. This is the real truth. I think we can do a regular podcast.
One of the things like I tell people too is don't believe what you read on the internet, because I hear it all the time. Oh, I heard you guys take this and that. I said, yeah, I've heard that too, but I'm the guy taking it. I am telling you what I've taken. I have no reason to lie to you. I'm trying to tell you that I got great genetics and everything else, but I still built my physique on minimal gear. That's why if you're going to take it, please start with the minimal doses. Don't, like I said, because most young kids will start up higher, and then they think the next cycle they've got to go higher, and they've got to go higher. More is not better. We know that pretty much in anything. You abuse anything, you're going to get problems. Even normal vitamins, you take too many, you're going to have problems. So just start off small, and like I said, don't think that steroids are the answer, and don't be like those people where I said, I'm not on anything, I can't train right now, because if you have that mentality, you're going to go nowhere. Yes, they help, but they're only like, to me, I've always said, steroids felt like the last 5%. Everything else was the training, the eating, the resting, and then the steroids were the last part of the puzzle. But sadly now kids are making steroids this bit here, and then some of them go out and party, they don't eat properly, they're not training hard, they're too busy on their fucking phones in the gym. It's like, if you're serious, you can't be doing that type of shit. So, but just, like I said, if you're going to use it, don't abuse it. Just, and then I'm going to probably get my blood work done next month, because just before I go back on, like I said, I'll probably just do SUS 250 again, 1 mil a week every 8 days. But I like to just see where my markers are and that sort of thing.
If you like, Lee, I would like to offer you, we could review your labs and maybe we can do another.
Sure. Because I just came off, like I said, I was doing, like I said, the SUS 250, and I was doing like 125 milligram Dianabol every second day. So I know, like, liver enzymes now are probably going to be higher than normal and shit. So, but yeah, when I get the results back, I'll send them to you. You can go, Lee, you're good, or Jesus Christ, Lee, you're fucked.
Let's do the next thing, Lee. We'll do an assessment with the anabolic doc. I'll be humble for that. And we could look at the other markers and the real ABCDs, and the cardiac stuff.
Because I said, I normally always get, like, every year I get my heart done because, 3, I think it was, I had cardiomyopathy just from a virus infection, not from steroids. So ever since then, I always get my heart checked because, being an athlete, you have a bit of an enlarged heart just from the training and stuff. So every year I get an echocardio and I get a CT one with the contrast put in. And so far it's all been pretty good every now and then. But so, like I said, I went through a stage there where from the age of 42 was when I first tried alcohol, because I didn't drink or stuff. And then I went to a couple of parties every now and then, and they had a bit of cocaine. I tried that. Then I'm like, Lee, what are you doing? You're going to fucking kill yourself. You've been good your whole life. What the fuck are you doing? So
I can only imagine. Well, Lee,
Yeah.
thank you so much. We're going to have you back, and we're going to go more
That'd be
into the
great.
health sides of this. And so thank you, guys. Let's get some great comments about this, and always respectful, please, for Lee Priest. Really one of the
Yeah, that's
oldest.
okay. But like I said, the only thing I said, my mother's always told me to tell the truth. That's why I was always in trouble with the IFBB. I get in trouble online because I got no reason to lie, and I don't want to lie. That's why I'm trying to tell people, if you're going to do it, try to do it the safest way. I did it with minimal use. I know other pros, like I said, Paul Dillette didn't use anywhere near what people 40 use, because I saw what he took every day. So don't believe all the stuff on the internet. I'm the pro that's been there. I'm the one that took it. I'm telling you exactly what I've taken. So if you are going to go down that road, please start minimal and then just see how you go from there.
But the truth is, you're 52, and that's impressive
Yeah.
right there. And you're
Yeah.
and you're healthy and having a great time. You want the party to continue. Thank you so much, Lee. I'm going to see
Well,
you
thank
back
you.
again. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.